told, I said, I don't want no skinny woman. I want who's got no sense of style. I want a girl with the diamond ring on her finger. One who knows how to say nothing. I just can't find this girl nowhere. Until I do, I'ma stay alone. If we can learn to love each other, then the truth will set you free. Oh, maybe pain and sorrow, there's no tomorrow. Will take a hold of me, baby, baby, baby. All alone, baby, won't you come along and hold me? I ain't the seventh son, but I know where I'm from. Let's head on, head on, head on down the highway. And maybe when we come back, by then you will have seen things my way. I don't want no skinny woman. One who's got no sense of style. I want a girl with a diamond ring on her finger. One who knows how to say nothing. I just can't find this girl nowhere. Until I do, I'ma stay alone.
Cleveland Air, 5959. We see traffic out there 12 to 1 o'clock, lower altitude. Do you have the radar? Air Shuttle 5959, that's a negative, sir. I don't have anything out in front of you at 12 to 1 o'clock. Okay. He's down well below you, or can you get an estimate on an altitude on it?
And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
I don't know, 10 miles down. Okay, Air Shuttle 5959, I'll keep my eyes open, but I don't
If we were visited someday, I wouldn't be surprised. I just hope that it's not like Independence Day.
White light sometimes flickering underneath the clouds. This is where I saw it. Air Shuttle 5959, is that traffic that you saw earlier? Do you see him out there any longer? Air Shuttle 5959, that's primitive, and it's a light that kind of, it goes dim and it gets bright. I don't know if we'll get closer to it or what, but it looks like a rotating light around it, like a frisbee type thing that's going around it. Basava 3179, do you see the same thing? Sir, I saw it coming out of Detroit. I wondered, all I saw was just a couple real bright flashes of light.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
You're talking about the light that's at our 12 o'clock now, about 10 miles. Any kind of target out near 12 o'clock? Oh, We got some kind of white light out there at 12 o'clock, and the captain says it's pulsating.
Kilometer 261.
Looks like oncoming traffic, but it's just sitting about the same place that it's been the whole here for about 10 or 15 minutes. We've been watching it.
Yeah, the air shuttle 50 and 59. It looks like it's almost over Saginaw from our position.
Okay, Air Shuttle 5959, contact Saginaw, approach control 126.45. I appreciate the information. 3179, that target looks like it's below us. I would guess maybe.
From the haunted backroads of America and live from the G&D Show studios, this is your GhostMan and Demon Hunter show.
Does that sound exciting to you?
Hey, welcome back, Shadow Nation, to the one, the only, mystifying oracle of radio, your, wait for it, America, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show, Demon Hunter.
That would be me, Mr. Burris.
What are you doing, man?
I am flying over Saginaw right now, and I see lights below.
Roger that. What's your Victor?
Victor.
Surely you don't see lights over there.
I do, and don't call me Shirley.
Little airplane humor. Best show ever. Hey, tonight's band, special thanks, Demon Hunter, to Creative Commons, and I'm going to get this right. Ready? Free Music Archives.org. Aren't you proud of me? Special thanks to them guys. Tonight's band, of course, was McCullough again. We loved him so much, we want to play him again for you. Great blues music, Demon Hunter.
It is, Sean. Good blues music. That kind of blues music that makes you just say, oh, glad I'm not him.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going out on Ustream right now. You can catch us on, I guess a couple of them are on the YouTube app now. You can catch that. Stitcher, Smart Radio is where our archives will be up. Planet Paranormal, of course, our longtime home. New home, Stitcher, Smart Radio. Yeah, what a show tonight.
Not be on the show anymore, Sean. I'm just going to record some sound bites, and you can push the button whenever. We're going to be on Stitcher.
Just hit the button. Yeah, so you're going to have your Sunday nights open, and I'll be sitting here by myself. That's terrific. That's awesome. What's been going on, Demon Hunter? I know you've had a busy week at work. I wanted to ask everybody, this is a little unprofessional, but we wanted to ask you guys in the chat room, how's our sound right now? We want to make sure that we're actually going out. Demon Hunter, have you heard anything yet? They'll let us know.
Nitro Jill's in there. She'll let us know.
Yeah, Nitro, you let us know, girl. And, of course, Nitro was the winner of the Susan G. Komen 3-day supporter race for The Cure. Remember, we're supporters. You should be supporters. We're raising money for this race. It's coming up. When's it coming up, Demon Hunter, the race? You remember?
I thought it was this weekend.
No, it's not this weekend. I don't think. But we're still raising money, guys. You can go to our website at ghostanddemon.com. Donate today. Go down to the Susan G. Komen 3-day and click on it and hit donate and donate all you can. But Jill Kleiss, good friend of the show, she won the Ryan Burns controversial book, Skinwalker and Beyond. That includes Bigelow Aerospace, all the conspiracies out there at this abandoned ranch, but it's not abandoned. Or is it?
Da-da-da.
Yeah, if you didn't buy the book, you won't know. Or if you didn't win the book. That's what you get, Shadow Nation, for not donating when we tell you to.
We told you. It was there.
We warned you. Anyway, Demon Hunter.
What this show is all about. It's a warning, folks.
Yes.
We are the warning that you were waiting for. We are the warning your mother warned you about. We are the warning of the morning after.
What the?
Wait. What was I talking about?
Botch! You botched that joke. Oh, you're so quirky.
So I've been told. They tell me that at work every day. I was so mad at work today, Sean.
Why? What happened? You fall down again?
No.
You said you was going to fall
They're
down.
still making fun of me about that. No, I was at work, and 300 yards away, the length of 3 football fields, not even 2 football fields, 200 yards away, there was a motorcycle rally going on.
Yeah.
At the very place I bought my motorcycle.
Oh, no.
And I couldn't go because I was at work.
Shadow Nation, everybody out there knows that Demon Hunter is Easy Rider. Huh?
Yeah, Easy Rider who falls down a lot. That's a smart little combination there, don't you think?
Yeah. Now, you have laid your bike down in a paranormal way, right?
Well, I have laid my bike down in several ways, not just paranormal.
See?
If you mean paranormal, meaning above the normal, yes, it has. My bike has ended up above me.
Right.
So
Well, what are you going to do?
it has also ended up way below me when I drove it off a cliff. So,
Hey, we were talking about Alf, and, growing up in the late 70s, 80s, we know much about Alf, but I think Alf was, let's see here, when did it come out? Oh, September 22nd, 1986 is when it's come out. I was 11 years old, Demon Hunter. Whoa! And it ran to 1990. That was a long-running show.
I think 86.
86. The reason I bring it up, of course, is we were talking about it a couple weeks ago, and we were trying to find his catchphrase. And I guess he didn't have a catchphrase. But
You gonna eat that?
you remember? Yeah, I'm going to eat it. I eat my words. But remember the creepy dad? That was actor Max Wright. We found out his name. He played Willie Tanner on the show.
Willie Tanner?
Willie Tanner. And Alf, you thought who played the Alf character? No one. Alf was performed by puppeteer/creator Paul Fusco.
I thought you were gonna say he wasn't. Alf was played by no one. That was a real hairy man.
He was he was a hairy little person. You can't say that. You shouldn't say that.
Say anything I want.
You could say little person. Little person's okay. But Paul Fusco, he's not even hairy. I just seen a picture of him. He's
Doesn't he have a beard?
No beard, no nothing.
That's just wrong, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's
So
wrong.
did anybody get back to us and tell us that, nobody?
Let's see. They're not mentioning. They're not saying whether or not the sound is okay.
That's
They're talking
true.
about a lot of stuff, but not our sound. Let me see here.
Honky door. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they can't hear us. You get it? They can't hear us.
They can't what?
They can't. Yeah, exactly. You're not getting me again. You got me last week and the week before. You did that. You said you fell down. You were in the toilet and you fell down and hit your head at work.
I was not in the toilet.
I know. I added that. I added that little part.
Jill tells us the sound is good.
The sound is good. We trust her. She's one of the oldest members of the Shadow Nation. We'll trust her. But anyway, this week we was going around. We were doing a bunch of stuff. And, that show that we had with Ryan Burns, of course, author of Skinwalker and Beyond, talking about Skinwalker Ranch, conspiracy with, MUFON and Bigelow Aerospace and everything. That was an epic show, Demon Hunter.
It was.
It was. And our show is an epic show, and we thought we'd bring you epic guests, guys. And, we have stars from the paranormal genre TV. Last week's interview was amazing.
Yeah, it was. And, it's funny, too, when we go through these kind of things and we're scanning through and we're like, I want to bring them somebody new. I want to bring them somebody new. Oh, here's somebody. Oh, no, we've already had them on. Yeah. Let's bring somebody new.
After 8 years, we kind of forget who we came on. I've actually contacted people, and they'll be like, yeah, John, we remember. It's like, is that a good thing or a bad? But last week, Morgana Shaw, guys, one of the stars of the new hit series, soon-to-be hit series, Salem on WGN. Tonight will be its second episode. Wow, what a first episode.
Really?
Yes, I got to see it. I know you haven't seen it yet because you don't
I've got to see it. My network doesn't carry it.
Yeah, it doesn't carry it out there.
That's just wrong.
Well, they probably can't tax it enough, so. Connecticut, man. You know what I mean? But it was a great show. Seen Morgana in it a couple times, and she's been so supportive of the Shadow Nation and our show. Amazing. But this week, we got an amazing guest, and we're going to turn our focus to the stars for you guys because we got such a huge outcry after the Ryan Burns show for this conspiracy alien stuff. And it's always been a passion of Demon Hunter and myself. Ghost, aliens, you name it, werewolves, we're into it. We search the countrysides looking for that stuff. If you guys remember right, Demon Hunter.
Well, you know what I find interesting, Sean? You and I put this show together to bring the people out there that we were meeting at these conferences and things like that, the people we love talking to. So we wanted everybody else to love talking to them too.
Right.
And then we said, you know what? we also love entertainment and horror movies and all this stuff. Let's bring those people to them as well. So we go out and we get you the stars of The Walking Dead and Mysteries at the Museum and all those cool things. And people contact us and say, where are the ghost hunters?
Yeah, you got the wrong show, folks.
Yeah, we're not just about ghost hunters, folks. Just because our names are GhostMan and Demon Hunter doesn't mean that all we talk to are ghost hunters. We're going to bring you everything.
This is a comedy-based show that we try to keep things light. And sometimes we get to, I think we cover all the genre, man. We go deep in the field. We get the research, ghosts, demons, monsters. We check it all out. Plus, we have the guests come on that is huge diversity. I mean, you know, from, like you said, actors from The Walking Dead. If you guys don't know much about it, go to our website, www.ghostanddemon.com. Check it out. We have, well, almost 8 years of archives, so it'll keep you entertained for a minute.
It keeps me entertained trying to keep it up.
It does, Demon Hunter.
Wait, you had a perfect chance for a joke there, and you didn't take it.
I couldn't do it. I didn't have that funny.
Now you missed it. Never mind. It was a great. That's what she said.
Yeah.
Line coming there, but you missed it.
You are reaching that age where it's hard to keep it.
You missed your opportunity. The window's closed.
Demon Hunter.
GhostMan.
Shadow Nation. Without further ado, tonight's guest.
You
like that, don't you? I can actually hear you.
Can you?
Yeah, you can hear you. It's a good sign. Guys, tonight's guest, David Michael Jacobs, Dr. David Michael Jacobs. He's an American historian and recently retired associate professor of history at Temple University, specializing in 20th century American history and culture. Jacobs is also well-known, very well-known, in the field of ufology. I nailed it second time. For his research and authoring of books on the subject of alleged alien abductions. Yeah. Dr. Jacobs has been involved in 1,100 abduction events. Since 1986, he's interviewed 150 people in 42 years of UFO research. Should we be afraid, Demon Hunter, of what lurks in the shadows from the great beyond?
I'm always afraid.
Yeah? Well, Dr. David Jacobs says yes, we should be afraid. Be very afraid, because these things aren't here to be our pals. We find out tonight on your mystifying oracle of radio, the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. Huh?
I'm more impressante here.
Yes, you are. Author of Secret Life, The Threat, and retired Temple University professor of history. Alien abductions, hybrids, much more, guys. Get ready. It's going to be a crazy show. Crazy show tonight.
You know what bothers me about the idea of aliens, Sean?
That they could probe you while you sleep. Besides that,
I've shared a room with you. I'm used to that.
That's true.
What bothers me is the idea of a superior race, because anytime two races, especially humanoid, get together and enter the same territory, in our history anyway, here on Earth, the less advanced race gets wiped out.
How do we know we're less advanced?
Well, because we're not traveling between stars.
That's true. But we could have. Well, I mean, you know, like here, operating...
We're barely traveling between planets.
Yeah. Well, like here, operating a microwave might be, you know, huge to somebody on planet Zar or whatever, you know?
Yeah, but then the people from planet Zar aren't coming to visit us, now are they?
Could you imagine they land on the White House lawn, they come out, big space with all this smoke and everything, and you see the black eyes and the big heads, and they say... They laugh. Or...
with a microwave in his hand going, a gift for you.
And then they go, hey!
Candy bars. Candy bars.
Nanu. We're not making light of it. It's a serious thing, Demon Hunter. It's been all over the History Channel, everywhere. I gotta say, in a poll taken, over 75% of Americans believe that we've been visited or there is life elsewhere. How can you not, man?
Well, I don't know, Sean. Like I said, I've seen a UFO. That doesn't convince me that it's an alien.
That's what you say.
Candy bars.
What was it?
it was an unidentified flying object. It was something in the air that I didn't know what it was.
Ooh, unidentified.
The way it moved through the sky, I couldn't explain it, but that doesn't mean it was alien.
Well, that brings up a good point. Since the 1960s with Roswell, of course, one of the most documented before the government.
Weather balloon?
Yeah, the weather balloon. I seen a thing on Facebook, I think, one time, and it said things that are weather balloons. It showed a UFO. It says weather balloon. It showed like a cow in a tree. It said weather balloon. And it showed all kinds of weather balloon. Yeah, so that's kind of a tired excuse. But now the new excuse is secret military aircraft, experimental. And then the conspiracy theorists, of course, say, well, where'd we get this? Where'd we get this advanced technology?
Well, where'd we get microwaves?
And where did we get microwaves? Well, yeah.
Velcro.
Exactly. You're getting that off of Men in Black, I think. Velcro. They got a patent on Velcro. The aliens. Actually, the name of their planet is Velcro. It sticks to things. The planet.
It's a Latin planet. It's called lectin. Means sticky.
Sticky. Demon Hunter, are you ready for the news?
I am always ready for the news.
Well, in the news.
Not ready for the news.
There you go. It's always fresh. It's always exciting. A little bit freaky. Crazy. And it's straight from the G&D Show vaults, and it starts right
now.
Ooh, you sound good. I hope you got a story queued up, because I sure do.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for G&D in the news. That's weird news, ladies and gentlemen. The kind of news where Sean and I see a title in the paper and decide to read it to you. Of course, we haven't had a chance to practice, so we're going to make a lot of mistakes. Every time we make a mistake, you take a drink. That's the G&D drinking game.
Right.
We ask if you're listening to this on your Podomatic or whatever you listen to in your car as you drive, your iPod or whatever.
If you're an alien.
That you do not play the G&D drinking game while you're driving. Exactly. And, of course, if you're planning to drive later this evening after the show, please listen responsibly.
Ooh.
Now, in the news, Sean.
Do it.
Rabbit heads left in two sisters' mailbox.
No, you got to be kidding me.
This comes from Westfield, Mass.
Could it be the Bunny Man of West Virginia or whatever?
I think somebody watched too many episodes of The Walking Dead with those bunnies.
I think you're right.
Westfield Police from the Associated Press. Westfield Police are investigating after severed heads were found this week in two mailboxes in western Massachusetts town.
Yeah.
Okay. In western... Oh, have a drink, folks. In this western Massachusetts town. Westfield News reports that a man called police Monday evening to report that a rabbit's head had been left in his mother's mailbox.
Oh, my goodness.
The woman says a rabbit's head also had been left in her sister's mailbox about 4 blocks away.
That's an inside job.
The heads were removed and disposed of.
Oh.
Police say a hunter who saw the heads said they appeared to be from wild rabbits, not domestic rabbits.
How does he know they're wild?
Wild rabbits and domestic rabbits grow a little different.
Oh, okay.
Police say no one in the neighborhood reported seeing anything suspicious.
Okay.
And they are seeking the public's help. Now, Sean.
Yeah.
You think this could be like a mafia kind of thing, like a horse head in the bed or something?
No.
Maybe these ladies owe a little money to some friends of a Sicilian origin.
The Catholic bingo parlor? Catholic church? I heard they get pretty outraged in there, the old ladies.
Do they?
If you cheat them.
Maybe they yelled bingo and collected a prize.
Yeah.
And they had actually swiped somebody else's card.
Grandma stood up and said, "You think this is a game?" I know. No, but I heard that story. First time I heard that, actually, it was on it was actually on TV. I forgot where I heard about it, but it was, last week?
It was April 25th, so that's only 2 days ago. Well, at least that's when the Associated Press put the report out.
Right. Well.
So it's, rabbits' heads in the mailbox, and a hunter says they look like wild rabbits. Maybe, They should talk a little more to this hunter, because who gets wild rabbit heads except maybe a hunter? I don't know.
Well, a hunter would know.
Yeah, well, how does he see the rabbit heads?
Demon Hunter, next story in the news.
You don't want to answer me. Go ahead.
Let's stop talking about nasty rabbit heads. I'd be freaked out. You know. Woman arrested on bestiality charges after looking for horse on Craigslist.
How did I know you were going to pick that one?
I know. The Huffington Post. David Moy. Thanks, guys. We love you guys at the Huffington Post. Anyway, here we go. An Arizona woman has been arrested on bestiality charges after allegedly trying to arrange sex with a horse via Craigslist. The woman, who's described as transgender and who the police report... That's how they describe you? No. And who the police report is legally known as Donald Waddle, drink up guys, 22, posted this ad on the misconnection section of Phoenix Craigslist on April 8th.
Seeking a tall, dark, four-legged man who I saw walking in to the agway.
Yes, he was a stallion. Get it? I am 22 years old and I want to play with a male horse. Simple as that. If you have access to a male horse and can allow me access to a male horse, then contact me, please. Wink, smiley face. I will do something in return. Oh my God, this is an ugly he-she. Could at least dress it up a little bit. Waddle's, drink up guys, ad caught the eye of another Craigslist visitor who reported it to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. Phoenix News Time reports. Undercover deputies contacted Waddle. During a subsequent conversation, she allegedly stated she wanted to perform oral sex.
I don't want you to say it. Stop.
I can't. Oral sex on the horse and agreed to meet the undercover detective. That's what the paper says anyway. The meeting took place on Tuesday, and the deputies brought along a horse. Poor Mr. Ed. It's a horse, of course. Wilbur. That's terrible. This isn't funny. From the sheriff's mounted posse as a prop, they brought the horse. During the meeting, Waddle allegedly admitted to placing the ad and her sexual intentions with the animal. She was arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit bestiality. A search warrant of her home was also executed. Oh, God, what'd they find? They did a search warrant. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arapo, drink up guys, said Waddle's arrest was for the fourth case since 2011 where an alleged animal sex abuser was caught on Craigslist. Says cases like this are tough to talk about, Demon Hunter, but we will always go after those who commit...
it's a mouthful, all right.
Yeah. Oh. People get serious about that, you know.
Oh, man, it's horrible.
You can't do that to animals, man. You can't do that.
This is going up. It's so horrible.
It is. You can't do that. Well, you know what they say. The squeaky wheel wants to get greased. Oh, that's... Oh, God, that's terrible.
Excuse me. There's a...
Next. Bleh. That's terrible.
Hey, Sean, this hornet's nest with a face is going to haunt your nightmares forever.
Oh, God. Kind of like the ex-wife.
Hornets can be pretty terrifying.
Did you get it?
Yes, I got it.
All right. Hornets.
A hornet's nest emerging from a carved wooden head reaches a wet-the-bed nightmare status.
Okay.
Earlier this week, Cliff Sagar posted on Rabbit as... Wait.
Drake. Rabbit as. You've been talking about rabbits too much.
Posting on Reddit as Count Bob's. I have no idea what that means. I guess it's a blurb or a blog or something.
Okay.
Posted photos, which he said his dad found in the shed that hadn't been opened in several years.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm listening.
The images were stumbled on unexpectedly.
Okay.
According to this post, the hornet's nest had fused itself with the wooden head of a statue.
Okay.
Seeger told the Huffington Post that his father carved the statue about 10 years ago.
I'm listening.
And had been in the backyard before it ended up in the shed.
Okay.
Fortunately for Sagar and his family,
Cigar.
The nest was abandoned.
Okay.
And a shed full of angry hornets is only one thing that would have made this worse. For now, he said, they are planning to try to preserve the head. But if you are not shuddering from the feeling of phantom wasps stinging you yet, there is a 23-foot hornet's nest found in an abandoned house in Spain last year.
How big was it now?
23 feet. A 23-foot hornet's nest, Sean.
Well, that's a big hornet.
Well, I think there was probably more than one.
Yeah, well, they've been at it for a while.
Wants to stay inside this summer. So basically, the main story here, I guess, is the fact, and I wish we had the picture up, Sean.
Yeah.
I wish we had the picture up because you've heard the picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, this one's worth 1,000 wasps.
Oh, yeah.
Oh!
We got to stop the one-liners.
It's
they're going to tear our show apart.
It's a pretty hideous figure here, this mask.
Yeah.
This wooden head with just hornets growing out of it. Or a hornet's nest growing out of it. But I think I'd be more afraid of the 23-foot hornet's nest.
Right.
Because, like you said, a 23-foot hornet would scare the heck out of me.
Oh, yeah, because aren't you allergic to it?
No, but I have been stung so many times over the years that I'm starting to become allergic. You would think I would build up an immunity, but no.
Yeah. Once bitten, twice shy, baby.
Yeah, well, that's what she said.
That's true. Aha! See, you're doing it again. Yes. Anyway, Demon Hunter, this video sweeping the internet. Footage shows ghostly figures sweep across soccer stadium.
Really?
Have you seen this?
I actually have seen that video. It's from a, oh God, is it from Peru?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's read.
Okay.
Is it a ghost? A shadow? A really fast-moving person? TV cameras caught a shadowy human-like figure speeding across the screen during Thursday's soccer match at Hernando Siles Stadium in La Paz, Bolivia. Drink up 3 times, guys. I did get Bolivia right.
It was Bolivia. There you go. They only have to take 2 drinks.
La Paz or La Paz, I don't know. On Thursday, April 17th, people in the crowd don't seem to notice the figure. The heavy reports that the shadow has human movements and may, in fact, be a soccer player double exposed on the camera.
It is a weird shot, Sean. I've seen that video, and it does look like somebody running across the field, but they're in the stands.
Yeah.
But they're directly on the mezzanine, so it looks like they're running across the mezzanine.
Yeah. The nerve of these ghosts, flash bomb, photo bomb. You know what I mean?
We can't even get that kind of footage.
No, we can't get that kind of support. We need some flash bombers.
Yeah.
You can't say bombers on the radio. I got another one queued up, Demon Hunter.
Well, why don't you go?
Black ring. UFO captured on British girl's iPhone.
It's always on the iPhone.
I know. That's why we're getting a lot more UFO reports.
It's droid.
Me too. About 5 years old. A 16-year-old schoolgirl had finished playing tennis with her mother in the British town of Leamington Spa on April 11th. That's exactly what it says. When the teenager and others saw something highly unusual in the sky. A large black ring moving very slowly above the trees. After several minutes, the mysterious object disappeared, but not before the teen captured the ring on her iPhone. That's a huge prop for...
The teen.
Huh?
The team or the teen?
The teen.
Okay.
Yeah. A variety of theories, speculation, and explanations poured forth after the black ring images were released. They range from a faked video, weather phenomena, weather balloon, swarm of mating insects to birds. The ring definitely is not a swarm of birds or insects, nor a weather phenomena. I believe the girl's video is real and not faked, said Ben Hansen, a former FBI special agent and host of the Sci-Fi's channel Fact or Faked Paranormal Files.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's just a very cool effect made usually by a device which goes by many names: smoke ring generator, smoke cannon, or vortex cannon, Hansen told the Huffington Post in an email. The construction usually involves a pipe on a stand that is filled with a combustible liquid, like gasoline, kerosene, or other oil and pressurized gas, such as propane.
Obviously, they've never had to share a room with you, Sean. I've dealt with some pressurized gas.
You know, they say cattle. You know, when they defecate, the fumes, not the fumes, but the gas is released. If you were out there smoking a cigarette, it could explode.
I think that's an old wives' tale.
Well, you were a farmer.
I didn't work with that kind of stuff.
Did you explode? You used to smoke out there in the hog pen, and
I was 15. I didn't start smoking until I was 17.
Yeah. Anyway, Hansen explained how this same effect has been used for years at art and music festivals such as the annual Burning Man event in Nevada.
Yeah. So they don't think the young girl faked it, but they think somebody else may have.
Well, or her. They don't know. They don't know. Well, they just don't know.
Nice way of saying
that you're a fraud.
Liar! This girl's a liar!
Liar! Yeah, I should have that queued up. Anyway, Demon Hunter, anything else from the vaults?
You know what? I was looking at the news tonight, Sean, but let me see here. We got anything that
not much
I
out there.
Talk about? I've got a man who seeks to hide his murder tattoo before his trial.
Oh, that sounds kind of...
This comes to us from Great Bend, I guess Kansas. Yeah, look at that. Associated Press sends it to us from Kansas. A Kansas man charged with first-degree murder is afraid that the tattoo, mirror image letters spelling out the words murder across his neck, might prejudice a jury.
Really?
Don't know where he'd get that idea.
Yeah.
So he's asking for professional tattoo artists to remove or cover it up.
Oh.
Prosecutors say they aren't have a drink, folks. They aren't opposed to Jeffrey Chapman covering his tattoo. They made sure to say his name there. No.
Jeffrey Chapman.
But Barton County Sheriff say he's against transporting Chapman to a licensed tattoo facility.
Oh, good.
Only place tattoo artists are allowed to practice under Kansas law.
Okay.
The Great Bend Tribune reports Chapman's trial is scheduled to start Monday, November. This says it's a new story, but it says Monday, November 2011.
Maybe he hasn't got the tattoo removed yet.
I guess that's when he was charged. But for the killing of Derman Gallet, folks, just in case, whose body was found by hunters in a roadside ditch southwest of Great Bend. The hunters again, Sean. I wonder if it's the same hunter that knew they were rabbits.
See, that's why I don't hunt.
Chapman's attorney says in a motion the tattoo would be extremely prejudiced if the jury were to see it.
You think?
I don't think the tattoo would be prejudiced, but I think the people who saw it might be.
Yeah.
Dude, why would you get that tattooed on your body?
What did it say? I killed Bobby Doe? What did it say?
It says murder.
Oh, good grief.
Well, that could mean anything. It doesn't say who he murdered. It just says he... It wouldn't help his case. I mean, I have to agree with the attorney, you know.
I never even think of murder, Your Honor.
Anyway, Shadow Nation, that was in the news.
Hey, Sean, one last shout out here to Miss America.
Oh, my God, yes.
Miss America is asking a Pennsylvania school director to reconsider their punishment of a senior who asked her to prom during a question and answer portion of an assembly.
I heard about this. They suspended him, bunch of prudes.
They did. He asked her to prom.
Yeah.
And he got suspended for it. Now, given the chance.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't ask Miss America to the prom?
You got to take your chances.
Oh, good grief.
The York Dispatch reported on Sunday.
Play the odds.
That Nina, and everybody's going to know I'm saying this wrong because it's Miss America.
Yeah.
Deveru
just down the whole glass, guys. Devarula.
Devarui.
There you go.
Devarui.
Yeah.
Posted a statement on the Miss America organization's Facebook page saying she contacted Central York High School
Okay.
to ask officials to rethink the 3-day in-school suspension issued to 18-year-old Patrick Favreras.
Okay, yeah.
Devarui
Let's just say Patrick. Let's just call him Pat. That'd be the best.
says her travel schedule will prevent her from attending the dance with Favreras.
Oh, imagine that.
I'm just getting our audience drunk at this point.
You can't give the kid a dance. You can't make his life better.
School of Fish.
At least send him some panties in the mail.
You, intended to ask her to the prom.
Okay.
And warned him not to do it.
All right.
Fellow students cheered afterwards, but Favreras was suspended for misbehaving. He apologized for disrupting Thursday's event. Devarara was there to talk about the importance of science, technology, engineering, and math studies. So I couldn't get a single one. I couldn't get Miss America or Pat's name right, and I apologize. I should have just started saying Miss America and Pat. But it's more fun to have people take a drink every time.
Can you imagine them being in the principal's office? Well, little Bobby here had a dime bag of pot, and then Bobby Doo here slapped his teacher in the mouth. And
Pat here asked Miss America to the prom.
Yeah, I would pat him on the back and give him a cigar, send him on his way. Matter of fact, I'd give him the day off school, where he could go home.
Day off school.
Yeah, he could go home, relax.
Saturday and Sunday in school with suspension.
Right. Well, bring him back for God's sakes, man. Was this a Christian school or a private school or something like that?
No, it's Central York School.
Well, they wouldn't want me in their school because I would have asked a lot more.
I don't even want to know what you would ask Miss America before, Sean. I don't want to know.
Shadow Nation, it's time for an original series. That means Demon Hunter myself made it up. And tonight's Legend X series. Yeah. Legend X series is where GhostMan and Demon Hunter scour the universe, or at least our country. And we bring you the legends on Bigfoot, the Lizard Man, the lonely, ghostly apparition of the lady that walks down Archer Boulevard, and the Mothman, and many more. Tonight's legend, in honor of tonight's guest, Dr. Jacobs, is
the 7-level base of Dulce, New Mexico.
You say Dulce, I say Dulce. Dulce.
Let's whole thing off.
Yeah. This is a big one, Demon Hunter.
Well, it's 7 levels. That is big.
It's huge. Huge 7
It's an Air Force base, correct, Sean?
It is an Air Force base, as you so eloquently laid out in the naming of it. You didn't name it, but this is a big one in the UFO-type conspiracies. And you might have...
because this, supposedly, is where all those reports of the reptilians came from.
Yes, the reptilians, the Greys, I think, were a couple more that they actually got into out there.
I believe the other term is the Nordics.
The Nordics, really?
Yeah, there's a few different kinds of aliens, according to the people who believe in the 7-level base of Dulce, New Mexico.
Right.
This is the Nordics, who look human, but they're all extremely tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed aliens.
Okay.
There's many who believe that they are actually crossbreeds between aliens and humans to create this breed of alien that can move among us.
A hybrid, perhaps?
A hybrid.
Yeah.
Then we have the Greys. We all remember the stories of the Greys.
We do.
Greys are the black-eyed, gray-skinned, naked aliens who show up at your windowsill or have been seen crawling through the mist and steam after something has landed. And then you have your reptilians, Sean.
Yes.
Reptiloids.
Right.
Your reptilian underground overlords. Or your subterranean reptilian overlords.
I think we should let Dr. Jacob explain.
Yeah, because I think I'm messing that all up.
Yeah.
Subterranean reptilian overlords. Let's just go with that. But these are the aliens who are supposedly are the meanest and the cruelest of all the aliens, living underground at the 7-level Dulce, New Mexico base. They run everything,
Right.
including the humans. And supposedly, as you go deeper and deeper down into the levels of Dulce, New Mexico, you have different levels where you have security and communications. Humans are allowed there. The next level down would be the human staff housing. Below that, you start getting to laboratories.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, there are still some humans who get down there. A little bit farther down, level 4, you get to mind control experiments. And then you get to the areas where humans aren't allowed to go. The bottom 3 levels, alien housing,
Mm-hmm.
genetic experiments, and cryogenic storage.
There you go. That was a big word.
And of course, there's shuttle buses that travel in between there and the Air Force Base.
It's like Disney World.
Yes.
Ride the shuttle over. No, but it's a very serious thing, and with us and conspiracy theories, we always look into it, and of course, we'll have the Men in Black and the black helicopters hovering over the studio. I'm sure after this.
That's only happened a few times, Sean.
That's true. After after Ryan's, you had some strange stuff. We need to talk about that afterwards. But the thing that I took interest to, there was a gentleman named Mr. Phil Schneider that had apparently worked for the CIA for a while, and I guess he had top-level security. And he was a geologist, and he was on the base at Dulce, and he was digging, doing surveys on the soil or whatever that was out there. And he said the military did not inform him of what was going on. The alien and everything. Well, apparently this section had caved in. And himself and some Green Berets and stuff like that, if I'm getting the terms wrong, guys, I'm sorry, but they had fell into this hole, and they engaged in a battle with Greys. I believe it was Greys. And this man was missing 2 fingers. Of course, he had a slit on his chest that he showed to a lot of people. It looked like open heart surgery type thing, of course. But he said that the aliens had done that to him, and he was blasted in the chest by like a laser type thing. And he had some burn marks on him and stuff like that. Now, this all happened out supposedly at the base, and him and another guard that pulled him out of the firefight were the only 2 to survive. Now, that's the story. Now, the kicker is, and we're going to talk about this later tonight, Demon Hunter, and this is very real. This man had a lot of, medical health problems. I don't know about his mental state, but he seemed to be clear conscious. When he spoke to, MUFON and several different places around the world that he did the talks on aliens and Greys and all these government conspiracies. But he was found dead. He was found dead in his hotel room with a catheter tied around his neck. He was strangled to death by a catheter and was ruled, you ready for this? What do you think? Suicide.
Well, that's the way everybody commits suicide, Sean, by choking themselves to death with a catheter.
Yeah. It was ruled suicide January 17th, 1996. And they say a friend of his, and the name escapes me, was murdered 2 days before that was just about to release his new book on the conspiracy of the Air Force Base and other topics. He was found naked.
He's in New Mexico, Sean.
Yeah, he was found naked, and I believe... I don't know if he was shot in back of the head or if he was strangled to death, but of course that was ruled suicide. And there's many more that we're going to cover tonight, guys. Demon Hunter, this stuff is real. But anyway, guys, that's Legend X for tonight.
I'm suddenly wanting to close all the curtains in my home, Sean. It's
and that's the thing, and we do have a comedy-based show, but we do serious too, guys. And tonight's topic is very serious for me and Demon Hunter because we do believe that things exist. We've seen things, Demon Hunter. And, we don't know exactly to what extent these things exist. I think I've seen some things before, but with satellites and and secret military aircraft, I mean, you could see a mothership land and the government could say, no, yeah, that's ours.
Weather balloon.
Yeah, weather balloon, or that's ours. Idiot. We had that all along. We just couldn't tell you it was top secret. So, I mean, it's a no-win situation right now, except for the few handful of people that come forward and write these books and try to tell all. They say, risk all. We've met some of those type guys, Demon Hunter. We've had some on the show that were very scared to come on our show because we have a, large listener base and talk out about what they were doing at the time. You remember that?
I do. I mean, it's one of those things where when I hear about this stuff, you have to second guess it. But when people are living in the middle of it, when they have to worry about their families and friends, then you start to understand where they're coming from. Because I know if I had to worry about my mom, I'd be on here going, it's all fake. Don't worry about it. It's, but, my mom, she's tough. She can take on anybody who comes at her. So,
yeah, she is tough.
I can say anything I want.
But I think it's a very, if it's real, it's, some people say they're light and fluffy. I know I've seen documentaries where some people have said they have alien families on another planet and they're married. They have an alien husband and children. And, who am I to laugh or giggle? You have to remain skeptical of all things. Even Dr. Jacob says that on the front page of his website that we'll get into later tonight. He says you even have to be skeptical of him. I'll have to have him quote himself. He said, bottom line, you have to remain skeptical. And I think you do, Demon Hunter, but I don't think anyone could deny out there. Truth
what I want to know is how they came up with 7 levels, Sean.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
Where did they come up with 7 levels?
That's what 7th level of hell, maybe, Dante? Is there a theory to it? Like, most hotels don't have a 13th floor, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. It's the 7 levels of Dulce, New Mexico, written by somebody.
That's it. For you guys that's just joining us before the show, we played actual live audio from, and this happens a lot, the air traffic controllers with, qualified, licensed airline pilots that shuttle millions of lives around a year, reporting unidentified flying objects while they're in the air. Not many will make reports, of course. But why would they? I remember when I was on the police department, Demon Hunter, I took a survey. They send you to a mental health professional, and they send all the police officers for a mental stability overview, and they have questions on there. Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in aliens? Now, do you think that's going to help or hurt your chances of getting a job of gainful employment when you're dealing with the rest of the public?
Well, haven't there been retired pilots who said they've seen things, but they didn't report them because once you report them, that's it? You're not flying anymore?
Oh, my God, yes. They've came forward over and over again and said that, this stuff, and Dr. Jacob says it tonight, as far as a professor or whatever that you're into, it's a career ender, man.
Yeah.
If you come forward and you say this stuff's going on, and think about it, man, it's you against the world, really, the government, because the government has the money, the power to sway people in any way they want, man. And what's really scary is if they don't want me and you doing this show, which I'm sure they don't, we disappear. Our own mothers probably wouldn't even know we were gone.
But not for at least a month when I make my monthly call to my mom.
That's true. That's true. They'd probably, what I'm saying, they'd probably zap their brain or something.
Well, that's it, folks. The 7 layers of alien base in Dulce's, New Mexico.
Right. Demon Hunter, I say we go to break early for we can try to get a hold of tonight's guest, and I would like to play that air traffic control tape again.
Sure thing.
All right. Tonight's band, guys, McCullough, and it's for Not Love, Not Fear, off his great album, great blues singer. Susan G. Komen, 3-day. We're supporters. You should be too. Make sure to go to the website, ghostanddemon.com, and donate today. Just don't go right now, because we'd like to keep you around.
Go after the show.
Yeah. Tonight's guest, though, guys. Stay tuned. Dr. David M. Jacob, retired Temple University professor, been in the field for 42 years of UFO research. He's dealt with 1,100 abduction events with 150 people since 1986. He says, the question, the answer, should we be afraid of what's out there? Huh? Dr. David Jacobs says absolutely. And we'll find out tonight on your G&D show.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. I don't know, Demon Hunter. It's gonna get scary show. Name of the song is The Fallen. Once again, the band McCullough. We'll be right back.
Take my bed and dream my dreams. Dream my dreams. I see them falling, crawling. I see them all crawling. Few on their knees, begging, please don't take my hands away too. My hands away too. Was all the angels I never see. I've seen them falling, brawling. I've seen them all, the brawling few, fighting hard to right the wrongs, looking back at what they do. What they do.
Cleveland is 5959. We see traffic out there 12 to 1 o'clock, lower altitude. Do you have the radar?
Air Shuttle 5959, that's a negative, sir. I don't have anything out in front of you at 12 to 1 o'clock.
Okay.
He's down well below you, or can you get an estimate on an altitude on it?
And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
I don't know, 10 miles downward.
Okay, Air Shuttle 5959, I'll keep my eyes open, but I don't
If we
see
were
anything.
visited someday, I wouldn't be surprised. I just hope that it's not like Independence Day.
White light sometimes flickering underneath the clouds. This is what I saw.
Air Shuttle 5959, is that traffic that you saw earlier, do you see him out there any longer?
Air Shuttle 5959, that's primitive, and it's a light that kind of, it goes dim and it gets bright. I don't know if we'll get closer to it or what, but it looks like a rotating light around it, like a frisbee type thing that's going around it. So,
Posada 3179, do you see the same thing?
sir, I saw it coming out of Detroit. I wondered, all I saw was just a couple real bright flashes of light. And it almost
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
You're talking about the light that's at our 12 o'clock now, about 10 miles.
Any kind of target out near 12 o'clock?
Oh, we got some kind of white light out there at 12 o'clock, and the captain says it's pulsating.
Kilometer 261.
It's like oncoming traffic, but it's just sitting about the same place that it's been the whole here for about 10 or 15 minutes. We've been watching it.
Yeah, the air shuttle 59. It looks like it's almost over Saginaw from our position. Okay, air shuttle 5959, contact Saginaw, approach control 126.45. I appreciate the information.
3179, that target looks like it's below us. I would guesstimate maybe 10,000.
This is Marilyn Roach, author of Six Women of Salem, and you're listening to the GhostMan and Demon Hunter Show.
Hey, welcome back, Shadow Nation, to the one, the only mystifying Oracle of Radio, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. Demon Hunter?
That's me.
That is you. And we got a heck of a show tonight, guys. It's a huge honor for us. Dr. David Michael Jacobs is an American historian and recently retired associate professor of history from Temple University. He specializes in 20th century American history and culture. Mr. Jacobs is also well known in the field of ufology for his research and authoring of books on the subject of alleged alien abductions. Dr. David Jacobs has been a part of 1,100 abduction events since 1986, and he's interviewed 150 people of alleged abductions. He's been doing this for 42 years. Guys, please help us welcome Dr. David Jacobs to studio. Dr. Jacobs?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, that's good. We were afraid we might not be able to get you tonight. I didn't... They had so much stuff going on this week. But I tell you what, I was telling people the whole day, this is a serious thing. We tried to get you on. There's a lot of stuff going on. I have a lot of questions, as I'm sure Nathan does. And should we be afraid of these things?
Well, in a word, yes. Unfortunately, I used to say, no, I don't think so, blah, blah, blah. But the evidence does not bear that out, actually. And I used to be really excited about studying UFOs back in the mid-'60s, and then when I got interested in the abduction phenomenon in the early '80s, and then started doing my own research into it in '86, I was excited and thrilled and amazed, and as the more I did it, the less excited and thrilled I became, and then I became afraid. And I began to realize this is not good. I don't like what I'm hearing. This is not what I expected. So the answer is, yeah, actually you should be.
Well, that makes you think a lot, especially when you're asleep at night. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of the movies that scare a lot of people. Of course, Fire in the Sky, with the alien abduction there, and of course the newest one that just came out a couple years back was The Fourth Kind.
Yeah, well, The Fourth Kind was absolutely awful. A horrible, awful movie.
Right.
Fire in the Sky was a sort of take on a legitimate abduction event. Travis Walton, a very intelligent, thoughtful person. But nothing in that movie really actually happened the way it was described in the movie. So you have to take popular culture not with a grain of salt, but with a boulder of salt.
A bag of salt rock, pretty much.
Right, exactly.
Now, Dr. Jacobs, you hear UFO stories all the time and different theories and things like that, but you have people out there talking about, us having been visited for thousands of years because they say they see, UFO paintings in rock wall paintings and UFO etchings inside Mayan art and things like that. Do you think that we've been visited for thousands of years? And if so, why haven't they found what they were looking for yet?
The answer is no, I do not think that is the case. I mean, let's put it this way. It might be the case, but the evidence that people put out for it, which are these paintings and things like that, do not make a case. And most serious UFO researchers don't get involved with what's called ancient aliens. We can date the UFO and abduction phenomenon back to probably the last quarter of the 19th century. And I've done research about events that have happened with people in the 1930s. And my colleague Bud Hopkins, now deceased, did one session with a person from the who had an event in the 1920s. Now, those are early childhood events usually because the abduction phenomenon is intergenerational. That is to say, if a person is abducted, that means that their mother or their father or both were abductees beforehand. And the abductions take place with great regularity throughout the course of a person's life. But the point is if the parents were abductees, well, what about their mother or father? And that seems to be the case too. And in that way, and in knowing how many people out there might be abductees, we can pretty much date it with a certain amount of accuracy. The problem here is that when an abductee marries a non-abductee, of which obviously the vast majority of people are non-abductees, the kids will be abductees. So the question then is, well, if that continues, how long will it take for everybody in the whole world to be an abductee, or in the country, or whatever?
Right.
And I had a PhD mathematician work it out, and because I count on my fingers, I'm not really good with arithmetic, but he said 7 generations, depending on how many people you start with in the beginning. So if we say 10 generations and have a generation instead of being 20 years like it used to be a few years back, and say it's 30 years, it still doesn't matter. There's only a small percentage of the population that are abductees, so therefore it could not have happened. Let's put it this way: if it started happening in 3000 BC, everybody in the world would be an abductee. And if it started happening in the in the 15th century, by the 17th century, everybody would be an abductee. I mean, the numbers don't make any sense. So that's why ancient aliens also don't make any sense.
Now, Dr. Jacobs, I have studied your amazing career and what you've accomplished and the research you've done. I've also looked into, over the years, Phil Snyder, Ann Livingston, Carla Turner. Now, these people, especially Carla Turner, are very similar to the work that you do. And,
yeah, well, I knew Carla Turner. She was a friend of mine many years ago.
Yeah, and I hear a very sweet lady and very honest. And, of course, she had that the book coming out.
Taken.
Yes, Taken. And was it before or after she came up with a mysterious cancer, an unidentified cancer, that came on her and killed her eventually? And they say not only her, but several of her clients and things of that nature that had went under regression therapy passed away from the same thing, similar.
Yeah, that I would take that with one of your boulders of salt or rocks or sacks of salt.
Okay.
Number one, if that is true, capital I, capital F, coincidences do happen. This is not a situation that leads to cancer. In all the people I've worked with, nobody's died of cancer, although one person managed to get cancer, a rapid form of lymphoma, but was able to beat it. I have had a person who was with me since 1993 who died in 2011 from complications from childhood diabetes, which she'd had all her life. She was insulin dependent, and other people, have died of a variety of things, but none seemingly related to abductions or abduction research.
Okay, so there's been no known case. Of course, we wouldn't know. Nobody would admit to it anyway, that someone's died due to an abduction.
Right, we wouldn't know, but of the people who I've known or who my colleague Bud Hopkins knew, nobody died as a result of abductions. In other words, they didn't find their body lying in a field somewhere having had a misstep coming back from an abduction, for example, and every bone in their body was broken and there was no place something like that could happen.
Right.
In other words, it wasn't on a street or whatever hit by a car. Nothing like that has ever happened. In fact, it's just the opposite. When people are abductees, they are abductees for a reason, and it is basically in the aliens, if I may use that word, interest to keep them in one piece.
Now, Doctor, considering most people get their information that they have on aliens from watching the X-Files, a lot of information gets out there and a lot of theories pop up that aren't always based on truth. One of the theories that always caught my interest was the people's belief in there being multiple types of aliens, the whole Nordic reptilian grace theory. Is there any evidence behind that, any reports from people you've interviewed that give different descriptions of the aliens, or is there a general alien that is out there?
In 1992, a friend of mine, James Harder, now also deceased, a professor of engineering at Cal Berkeley, got up at a UFO conference that we were holding at MIT, of all places, and said that there were 249 different aliens visiting us, or something like that. And what that means is as follows. This is a clandestine phenomenon. It's secret. And the first thing you do in keeping it secret is you keep it secret from the abductees. So they really don't, most abductees walk around having not the slightest idea that they're involved with the phenomenon, although they know they've had a lot of very strange and odd experiences. But they just blow these things off as normal life sometimes, or as dreams, or whatever. However, when they start doing, when those small percentage of people who do remember things that, and they actually find their way into the clutches of me or another serious abduction researcher, we usually use hypnosis, which is, I shouldn't even say that word because it's just relaxation techniques, and then I start asking questions. But when they start to remember it, the memory comes out oftentimes skewed, oftentimes backwards, oftentimes wrong. And it's called confabulation. It takes place most in the first session, and then second most in the second, third most in the third, and then it levels off to almost nothing later on. However, conscious memories are the by far, outside of hypnosis, they're by far the most display the most prevalence of confabulation. And there are certain areas where people confabulate. Number one area, first and foremost, description of aliens.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they think they are seeing a 9-foot-tall alien who's got polka dots on his body. They think that. But when you do hypnosis and you ask logical, rational questions about exactly what it is that they are seeing, they realize, oh, he's not 9 foot tall with polka dots. He's 3 feet tall with no polka dots. And that happens all the time. So if you take at face value what abductees say in the first several sessions or in their conscious memories, and people think, oh, they're remembering things consciously, that avoids the problems of hypnosis, and therefore it must be more reliable. The answer is actually it's less reliable. And therefore you get up with you get a situation where a guy gets up at a conference and says there's 249 different aliens visiting. Now, what do people actually describe? Well, they do describe a sort of variety, kind of. You get ones who look, they say, like insect-like, are very, very thin and very alien-looking. Then you get gray aliens that come in two sizes, taller and smaller. They pretty much look the same. Then you get what we call hybrids, and this has been known since the early 80s, who look, and there are various stages of hybridization. Some look really quite alien and yet a little bit human. Other ones look half and half, and other ones look more and more human. And in the old days, they used to call them Nordics for reasons that I still don't get. But those are, and in fact, those are all aliens as well. And so you're dealing, and then there's a small group of people, a small group called who look more reptilian. And when you ask people, "Oh, what do you mean by reptilian?" and they draw you pictures, the pictures sometimes one looks sort of crocodile-like, another one looks like it's got scaly skin, another one looks like a snake, or whatever. And then some of them that they draw look like gray aliens. What the heck? But in other words, they confuse the word reptilian with the regular aliens. However, they are rare. They're not rare. They're uncommon. But we do have. I have cases of this myself. We have cases of them on the internet. They seem to be 100% of all aliens. I look on the internet. It's nothing about reptilians. The reptilians are here. The reptilians are coming and run for the wherever. But it's actually uncommon. Right. So those are the types: hybrids, ones that look sort of insect-like, the gray aliens, and ones that look sort of reptilian-like, and that's a spectrum.
Now, it's nice that you bring that up, Dr. Jacobs, because an acquaintance of yours, Mr. Thomas Reed, the son of Dr.
Reed, yeah.
Yeah, he said he was acquaintance of yours and good friends. He knows you well. And I had spoke to him this week because I was trying to get him on the show with you tonight, actually. And you had brought up the spidery alien-type drawing. Now, I've remembered for years here when he went on because I'm a Hoosier. He's a Hoosier, or he is. He's actually leaving this weekend. That's why he couldn't be here. But, yeah, he said that he'd be on in a couple weeks. But his drawings that he showed all over the local press here in Indiana that we've heard about for a long time, an amazing story, too. I mean, just amazing. And
well, he and his brother were abducted together, and as I remember. And, he drew an insect-like one.
Mm-hmm. And you'd brought that up when a abductee marries a non-abductee. Usually the children become abductees. And I think, if I'm not wrong, his mother and grandmother were abductees.
Right. And there's a lineage. And I was able to date back one family back to about 1880. And this had to do with a great-grandfather who was in a cave. He found himself in a cave somewhere, and it was a dark area, and then he suddenly was out, and he ran through a field, and he fell down, and he looked up, and there was a gigantic rabbit staring at him. That is actually abductee talk.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, it's any animal with large eyes comes in. There was a raccoon staring in my window for a long time. There was an owl that affixed itself to my windshield when I was driving and just stared at me the whole time. And I saw this deer, and we had a communion in the field, in the woods, and the deer looked at me, and then we were communicating. That's abductee talk.
Do you think that's because
not going to happen to me?
Do you think that's because, Dr. Jacobs, the brain, the human mind can't perceive that, can't even comprehend, and we race to try to find something to identify with?
No, it's because they're not supposed to remember it. There are obviously some sort of physiological or neurological blockage, and what's happening is a sort of distorted bleed-through memory that then the brain tries to make sense of.
Now, you said that's what happened to me. So you've had these experiences happen to yourself.
No, that's not. No, I said the opposite. It's not going to happen to me.
Oh, okay. That's my. I blame that one on my headset. Now, you were talking earlier also about the hybrids, and there's a lot of reports out there now of a growing phenomenon just in the last 2 decades of black-eyed children.
I see it on the internet. There is no such thing as black-eyed children that I've ever been able to find. And if they were hybrids, they would not be here with black eyes, because that would, in everything I know about this phenomenon, which I think is probably as much as one can learn these days, black eyes mean that they would not be here on Earth. If they were here on Earth, now I'm overextending myself, but if they were here on Earth, they would look normal, natural. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, people would realize, oh my God, something is happening. People have told me that others have cat eyes too, and I never really thought about that, cat eyes. And one day I'm watching television, there's an interview with this woman who's got cat eyes. So I looked it up on Google, and it's some awful kind of condition that eventually leads to blindness. And that's got nothing to do with aliens, although when you see cat eyes and you see cat eyes and aliens together on a Google search, there it is, the aliens, you know.
Yeah. You know, that brings up a good point, because they throw people like you. I mean, a doctor from Temple University, retired. You've done so many amazing things, and then all of a sudden you get somebody with antennae in their head, and they're going, woo, and they got these little lights in their hands, and they're chasing around, you know, orbs and pictures or what have you, and they try to say, well, they're all wackos. You know, regression therapy, everything's nuts. Do you think the government might have something to do with this? Especially, you know, going back to like the weather balloon. Everything's a weather balloon and all this. Do you think the government does this to throw people off?
Right, and the answer to that is that the evidence for that is extremely weak, and I'm overblowing it by saying weak. There really isn't much evidence for that whatsoever. Obviously, everybody and his parakeet thinks that there's a government conspiracy and the government knows all about it. Right. And there's aliens pickled in jars down some air hangar 51 or whatever it is. I just, as a historian of 20th century U.S. history, I simply did not find the evidence for that whatsoever. Now, people said, yeah, but what about the shadow government? And my answer to that is, well, if there is a shadow government, and if they are, you know, conspiring to cover up UFOs and abductions, that's fine. That's great. In fact, it's wonderful. I'm going to jump for joy, because at least there's people who are paying attention to it. They're studying it. They're covering it up. Okay, I can live with that. That's fine. I just hope it's true. Unfortunately, I don't find the evidence for it at all, but I hope it's true.
Well, you know, the government's always been so trustworthy.
Well, when it comes to UFOs, it is such a sordid history. It's so awful. There's a new book out. I wrote a history of it back in the 1970s, which was my doctoral dissertation and then made into a book. Yeah. But a new book out by Mike Swords and several other people called UFOs and Government, a Historical Inquiry, which goes much deeper than I could through this is before the Freedom of Information Act that I did my work, about how in the 1950s and 40s and 50s, how the government treated the Air Force treated UFO reports, and basically they just ignored them. And some of these reports that were coming in were astounding, and they just couldn't care less. They knew that they could not be extraterrestrial. Once they decided that they weren't Soviet Union or secret weapons, then they figured they couldn't be extraterrestrial because you can't get here from there. You know, it's distances are too great and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. And there's something else involved with this also that people don't really fully understand, and that's intentionality. The thing is, what you get with UFOs is they're flying around and people see them. And sometimes they see them on the ground, and sometimes they see them at treetop level. Sometimes they'll actually see aliens next to them. But basically they see them flying around, and 99% of all UFO reports are flying around.
Right.
But so what? As long as they're not posing a threat to the United States or to the world or whatever it is, there's no sense of urgency in studying them then. So scientists, instead of saying, I better get on this right away because, you know, I'll be there firstest with the mostest, and then I'll get a Nobel Prize because this is real and it's happening. There's nothing like that. It's all it is ridicule. It's a career killer if you study it in the academic community. And I've had to warn graduate students away from doing a dissertation about the subject because they'll never get a job in academics if they do.
Sure.
And so the point is that sense of intentionality is not there. They just fly around. They're not landing on the White House lawn like they're supposed to and all that. And therefore, most people just are in the point now in the 21st century where they're just ignoring it. They just ignore it. It's so common. You just, people say, I saw a UFO once here and there. And I said, well, do you report it to anybody? Oh, no. You know, they just tell it to their friends and that's it.
Yeah.
Now, Doctor, we do have a question from the chat room from one of our listeners, Nitro Jill, who wanted to know about how many people have you actually interviewed, and of them, how many did you believe actually were abductees?
Right. Well, I've interviewed about 150 people, and I would say maybe 145 of them were abductees. But the ones that I interviewed early on, I didn't have a system set up yet where I could filter them. Now there's a questionnaire on my website, and that everything starts with that, and with these questions that have been tested over decades actually, and I can tell immediately what's happening with a person with this questionnaire. And so the people who I've worked with have all been abductees since the early 80s. The late 80s. And I've worked with people who are attorneys and physicians and psychiatrists and psychologists and university professors and therapists of other ways. I like working with people who have PhDs, and the reason is because they have so much to lose.
Mm.
I mean, they come forward and they're trusting me to not reveal their names, knowing that if it were to come out that a psychiatrist is telling me that he or she has been abducted by aliens from another planet, then a psychiatrist, this is not going to be good for his career. You know what I mean? I just get that feeling it's not going to help his career. And so the fact is, though, that they all testify against their own interests. They tell me things seriously, and there's one woman who's got a PhD I worked with since 1987. Now I work with her sporadically, and I still see her from time to time. But the fact is that they know that it's disastrous for their careers, for their jobs, for whatever they have, and yet they come forward and tell me the same things that everybody tells me. It does not matter who the person is, and not only everybody, but everybody around the world, saying things that have never been publicized, saying things that only abductees would know, and having these same reactions. And it's just, there has never been a phenomenon like this in human history. This has never happened before, and I can say that with a great deal of assuredness, mainly because I don't know what I'm talking about. But other than that, I'm assured. Now, there's ghost sightings. The problem with ghost sightings is we don't really know much about ghosts. We know about as much about ghosts now as we did, let's just say, 200 years ago, or when Shakespeare wrote about Hamlet. You know, we don't know who goes a haunting, who gets to be a ghost and who doesn't get to be a ghost. We don't know what they do in their downtime. We don't know how they get energy. We don't know anything about ghosts. With the abduction phenomenon, we have nothing but depth by serious people who have this happen to them over and over and over again. And I've worked with people who never held a job and can't get it together. I've worked with people who dropped out of grade school, who dropped out of high school, who dropped out of one dropped out at age 12, one dropped out at age 16, and everybody in between, and they all say the same thing. I've worked with people from Africa, Asia, and Latin America, whatever. They all say the same thing. There's never been anything like it. It's just astounding.
Right. Now, you say on your website, ufoabduction.com is your website, of course, that you try to stay as close to the evidence as I can. However, there's no possibility that there's no possibility that I have avoided error.
Absolutely correct. Whoever said that was correct.
What do you say to people that talk about regression therapy and hypnosis as, especially abductee, when they say the doctor or whoever is injecting this patient?
Yeah, and that does happen. If you're irresponsible and the person is extremely vulnerable, that does happen. And it happens particularly in the New Age world, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
But in fact, most people who come to me, they know two things. They don't want to be led. They don't want me to put ideas in their minds. That's number one. Everybody knows that. It is amazing. Everybody knows that. And the other thing is, they don't want to pick up things in popular culture and parrot them back to me as if it happened to them. That's what they're afraid of. Those are the two main things. I don't want them to do that either, you know, and I sure don't want them to pick up what I'm saying and parrot it back to me as if it had happened to them. So the first session, I'm ultra careful, and what you do is you ask misleading questions. You do there's other techniques to prevent that, and you just keep doing that, and you do that from time to time in the second session and see if they'll bite. You know, by the third and fourth session, you know that they're not going to be led. You've already established that. My type of hypnosis is really conversational. I have a conversation with the person as opposed to an interrogation.
Mm-hmm.
And what I try to do is normalize them in a sense and get them to understand sort of the big picture of what's happening and all that. But ultimately, you know, what I would do sometimes, this person who I've worked with for a while, I can't do this in the first several sessions, but I'll say now, you know, I don't like this subject. I don't want you to tell me anything bad. You're not. This is before I do an induction. You know, I don't want you to tell me anything bad. Don't tell me anything bad. I give them an order. I don't want to hear anything bad. So I do this induction, and they start telling me what happened. They couldn't care less what I just said. They just start telling me what happened to them again, you know, over and over and over again. And what I said meant nothing. So this is not a Svengali Trilby-like thing where people are in the clutches of some maniac, you know, who's injecting them with strange thoughts. However, there are lots of people who are not real responsible hypnotists and who can, in fact, suggest to people that these beings are wonderful light beings who are here to help us because we screwed the planet up and environmentally everything is bad and they're going to come and they're going to and it's going to be wonderful and they're light beings and they dance with the light beings and they just want our best interests at heart. And I have never heard that. Not once.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that. That would be great. That would be wonderful.
So E.T.'s false, Doctor? The movie?
E.T. is just slightly false.
I always want to go for a bike ride in the air, you know?
Right.
Now, Doctor, your book is called The Threat. You were, you told us earlier we should be afraid. But when we asked you before, you were saying, you know, if you see the UFO in the air, what's the big deal? The people who are being abducted are, it's in the aliens' interest to keep them alive longer. What's the threat?
Well, what this, to my amazement, turned out to be is that we thought for many years that this was an experimental program. I got a cat who just jumped on me.
An alien
sounds
cat.
like our studio.
Yeah, it does.
And that this was an experiment, that they were studying us, that they wanted to learn about what made us tick, that there's a learning situation on it. And I stuck with that all the way through Secret Life, which is my first book about abductions. And the evidence just wouldn't hold for that, would not hold for it. By the third, I realized that this was a program, and as a program, it had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it was goal-directed. They were doing this for a reason, and they were secret for a reason. And the bottom line for secrecy is they don't want us to know what they're doing. That's an irrefutable element of secrecy. And then my colleague Bud Hopkins had already discovered hybrids, and in fact, he's the first one to call them hybrids. And he sort of took the ball and began to run with the world of hybridization, and I picked that up and began to work on hybridization also in The Threat. And then it's the question: hybridization for what? Mm-hmm. What's the deal here? What's the point? And then people began to tell me that that soon there was going to be a change, that a change was going to come about, that soon there was going to be a change, and soon we'd all be together. That the aliens were telling him that everybody would be together, and you couldn't tell the difference between humans and them, and it was just going to be wonderful, and everybody would be happy, and everybody would know his place.
Mm-hmm.
And they called it The Change. And in fact, I'm finishing a book right now with a working title. I don't know if this will be the title, The Change, but that's what they called it, The Change. This change is going to take place, and when the change happens, everybody's going to be happy. Well, that means an integration of human-looking hybrids into the society, according to what abductees have told me, who don't know that the other abductees are telling me the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that is I didn't used to think was threatening, but now I do. The actual title, The Threat, was invented by a guy at Simon & Schuster. And I had, when I objected to it, he said pointedly that I did not have title control in the contract. So it came out as The Threat. My original title was Gray Area, The World of Human, Aliens, and Hybrids, which is still, I think, a good title.
Oh, I like that.
Gray Area.
Title.
I do.
Yes, and they didn't think it was, quote, sexy, end quote, enough.
We know about that.
Right. So, but the new book I'm working on, right now the working title, and I'm virtually finished with it, is The Change. Because the change, I think, is here, and people are reporting to me that they are helping hybrids integrate into the society when that was just not possible when I first started going into this work back in the 80s. So the problem here is this. People are under control when they are involved with the abduction phenomenon. They can't. Once it starts, for example, let's just say it's starting at night when people are most vulnerable and alone, they can't reach underneath their pillow and get out a Glock 9 and blow their little heads off when they come into the window or the wall or whatever it is. They can't do that. They can't dial 911. They can't wake their husband or their wife. They can't even move.
Mm-hmm.
And this abduction phenomenon, but they still don't see aliens. In other words, then the aliens come and take them. So they can be controlled from a distance. Is the distance 100 trillion light years away? Probably not. Is the distance 1,000 feet away? Maybe. 100 feet away? Possibly. Once they're controlled, they are in control the entire abduction event. Their memory is controlled. They can't run down the halls, although every once in a while it does happen. They can't strike aliens, although every once in a while that does happen too. But basically, they're under control. Neurologically, they are controlled.
Mm-hmm.
All communication is telepathic. That's neurological also. Now, with hybrids who are integrating into the society, if that is indeed happening, they look human. They are human in every conceivable way possibly, except for one way. They can still control real humans, and humans can't control them.
Mm.
That means that we, if this is happening, we are relegated to being a second-class species, not second-class citizens, but a second-class species, and that does not bode well for us.
Mm.
As I think about our dear old friends, the Neanderthals,
mm-hmm.
who seem to have either married in, or else they died out in some way, or whatever it was. They don't exist anymore. Now maybe they're happier for that, but the fact is that this does not look like a happy situation. For the aliens, they're ecstatic. They're pleased. They're always pleased about this. This is very good, very good. They go out of their way to say how wonderful this is going to be for them.
Right.
I just don't see that wonderfulness for us. I just don't. I just plain don't like it. I don't like it. Now I look at the book, The Threat, and I think, yep, that title was a good title.
Now, Doctor, there's just a few things I want to throw out here because one, I was just mentioning to Sean earlier, in the history of humanoid development, anytime one species of humanoid has come in contact with another species, the more developed species has either wiped it out or bred it out of existence.
Yeah.
Something like that. Something like that. What happens is, even more to the point, when you have a technologically advanced society who meets a tribal society, only bad things can happen to that tribal society.
Does this, for like some reason, like I have talked to abductees before, and actually people who have said they thought they were on the brink of being abducted. One such case, a person was telling me how they were parking their car between the Texas and New Mexico border. They were driving all night. They parked their car. They thought it'd be fun to sleep on the border between New Mexico and Texas. And they woke up to hearing a scratching on the side of the car. And both of them had been sitting in the front seat, sleeping opposite. They opened their eyes, looked at each other, and couldn't move.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, when they one of them actually finally moved their thumb. And once they moved their thumb, they both could move. They got up and drove away.
Yeah. This is a typical example of not remembering the abduction event, but remembering the last few seconds of when they returned.
Okay.
This is typical.
Does this explain some of our, this natural fear people are having of aliens now? Because, during the time of, E.T. coming out, there wasn't a huge fear of aliens in the early 1980s. But now, maybe it's because of the alien movies, but there's an actual fear of aliens now that there just didn't seem to be 30 years ago.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I certainly didn't have a fear of 30 years ago. I didn't see anything that was really sort of world altering, other than the fact that they were experimenting on us.
Right.
But the more I learned, the more I realized, yeah, there is a fear. Now, more and more of that has come out in the media. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of interviews, mm-hmm. and that's not hyperbole. And so there is a lot of it around, and people are beginning, I think, to wake up a little bit that this may not be as wondrous an event as they had originally thought.
Yeah.
Now I'm really guessing here, because you still see movies with bad aliens, but the first Alien movie was there were two of them that came out in 1951. One was The Thing from Another Planet, a very good movie, and the other one was A Day the Earth Stood Still, also a very good movie. Two very good movies. One was Benevolent, Day the Earth Stood Still, they were here to help us. Uh-huh. The other one was Malevolent, The Thing, who was here to eat us, or whatever. And now, which direction do you think Hollywood would go in?
Right, terror.
You want aliens to be horrible and terrible, and to be stomping on Tokyo and doing all those kinds of things, and happy and good aliens. They are there. I mean, in motion picture history, but it's really a small minority.
Now,
so there's good reason to be frightened if you go to the movies all the time. But and even now, it's still. I mean, cowboys versus aliens. I guess you've seen that.
That was epic.
It had big time stars in it.
Yeah.
Known fact, Doctor. Japan doesn't have an army. That's why all the aliens and monsters attack there first.
Well, you left a movie out, Dr. Jacobs. You didn't mention Plan 9 from Outer Space and how
Plan 9 from Outer Space, the world's worst film.
That was so beneficial to the UFO community. But
that had a guy named Criswell in it.
Yeah,
as I remember. And Criswell was when I was a kid. I used to watch Criswell. A TV show called Criswell Predicts. That was his big thing.
Yeah.
A 15-minute show where he would make predictions. The only one I remember was, he said, I predict. He started each prediction with that. I predict that in 1960 there's going to be a woman in the White House.
Yeah. We have the great-great-grandson, I think it is, Nathan?
The great-grandson of Griswold is the G&D show official predictor.
Yeah.
A great-grandson of who?
Criswell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
Gosh.
The Professor Slim King
Yeah.
is actually the because King was Criswell's original name, or it was Criswell. Was it Koenig or King, Sean?
Koenig.
King was in there somewhere.
Koenig, I believe.
Koenig sounds right to me. Yeah.
Yep, Koenig.
Which actually means king.
Yep, and it was his great grandson, the Professor Slim King, is the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show official predictor.
All right.
Yeah.
Carrying on the great tradition.
We're proud of that. But hey, Doctor, I know we've kept you over. And Nathan, I don't know if you have more questions, but what I want to know for everybody out there around the world that can hear your voice right now, when they go to sleep at night, when I go to sleep at night, how do I know where I'm going and who's with me and who's taking me where? And is there any signs?
Right.
Do I wake up sore?
Well, if you're an abductee, that is, if your mother or your father was an abductee and your grandmother or grandfather on some side was an abductee, and you've had already some oddities in your life that you can't explain, the answer is you don't know what's going to happen next. And in other words, people can't really prepare. Now, once in a while, they will prepare. I've had people tie themselves to a bedpost. I've had people, one woman tied herself up with string all over her body, everywhere, between her legs and up around her shoulders, near there, and then tied off with a knot. And then she had her husband hide the scissors. There's no way you could, and she was not abducted. They wouldn't take her that way.
It sounds more like a fetish.
Right. She did it twice, and then they convinced her. She bargained with them. She said, "Okay, I'll take this off if you." She didn't want to be afraid anymore when this happened, and she wanted to remember what happened. And they said, "Okay, we agree." So then her abduction started again, and of course she couldn't remember a damn thing, and she was scared to death.
Yeah.
It just didn't matter. So, but they convinced her to take it off. But you can't live your life like that.
Right.
And so, so there's nothing that people can do. I've had people sleep underneath the watchful eye of video cameras, and I have tapes of, this is the old days where we had tapes of them getting up in the middle of the night and coming over and turning off the camera. I have tapes of them getting up in the middle of the night and walking out of the room, both followed by abductions. Then I have a tape. I had a woman who told me that she was abducted. The whole thing was filmed on tape, and when she got back from the abduction, she realized that, and then she took the tape down to the basement, and she got a hammer, and she smashed it into 1,000,000 pieces, and she felt a lot better then.
Oh.
I'm still in contact with her. This is many years ago, and so it's something that people unfortunately can't stop. They can't avoid it. All they can do is just grow tired of it and get bored. And when I work with people, that's what I want to get them to. I haven't worked with that many people. Like I said, maybe 145, 150, whatever it is. But I worked with them for a long time, for as long as they want, basically. I've only had a couple of people I've had to break off with, but most of the time they give me a call and they say, "David, I can't come in for the session today because I got car problems, cars in the garage." And I know that when they have car problems, I'm never going to see them again.
They've accepted it, more or less.
Right. They're bored with it already. They want to get on with their lives, and that's what I work for, so that they can have. It's like a ship that's being righted. They're on an even keel now. They know it's going to keep happening. It happens over and over and over again. It usually happens during the amount of time that they spend doing sessions over months or years or whatever it is with me, and they don't care. They have a life to live. And I want that, because they might be abducted for 2 or 3 hours, but there's 20 hours or 21 hours left in their life that they have to contend with, and they're entitled to have a normal life, and this is what they have to have. They can't simply live their life in fear of being abducted, and eventually they get to that point.
How do we know when we were children? I remember I used to wake up a lot screaming for, help, and I couldn't talk. My vocal cords was paralyzed. That's a common thing in sleep paralysis. Of course, you know that.
Right.
That is
common in sleep paralysis.
How do people know, though? I mean, how do you know the same symptoms,
If you have missing time experiences, like you don't know where you were for the past 4 hours, you're watching television, and it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're sitting in a chair or whatever, and now it's 4 o'clock.
Right.
And you think, what just happened? Did I fall asleep? I don't think so. What just happened? Now, something like that usually happens to abductees, and they've had these missing time experiences. But if you're not an abductee, it's never going to happen.
Right.
When you don't know where you were, and nobody else knows where you were, and nobody saw you, and you weren't drunk, and you weren't drugged up, and all the rest of that stuff, it's just not going to happen unless it's a brain problem and you have a brain tumor.
There you go.
That's when it can happen.
Well,
in fact, people have had that happen and gone to a doctor thinking I've had a stroke.
Oh wow.
And they've had their brains, an MRI, and everything is okay. No stroke, no tumor, no nothing.
My God.
See, Doctor, you've scared me now. I'm going to stop communing with nature because I've spent too much time staring at big-eyed deer in my life.
There you go, buddy.
I wish I was joking.
I was going to tell you guys about the lost time. That happens every day. It's called work. Anyway, Dr. Jacobs, it was an honor to have you on tonight, sir. I know we've kept you over, and I love your work, love the research you've done. In closing, where does this all lead us to? Where's it all heading?
Well, I really, I can't tell the future. I do know that the future is not being determined by us now, unfortunately, and this phenomenon is not going to stop. I have a feeling that it's accelerating. Actually, that it's hell bent for high water, as they used to say, and so. I don't know what to say. I can't. There is nothing to say. All you can do is just describe what's happening.
Right.
I just wish that there were more responsible people, scientists, and serious people who would look at the subject. But I really have given up on that. It's just not going to happen. The whole subject is too crazy, too fringy.
Yeah. All right, guys. Tonight's guest, Dr. David M. Jacobs, and he's been doing this since 1986 in the abductee. Well, I guess it would be objective reality to that, right?
Right.
I mean, you're checking it all out. You've been researching it for years, and you've done amazing things, sir. And you come back on any time, and you have a good night.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Jacobs.
It's so weird, Nathan, getting off the line with people, but while we're still on the show.
That?
Oh, well, you can, if you'd like to stay on the line for a moment.
No, I'm going to go down and eat dinner.
I understand that. My dinner's waiting for me, too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
So that's what I was telling you. It's so weird, Nathan, because we used to, say, hey, hold on the line. We're going to close out the show. But a lot of different shows, you never know. I knew we kept him over, so a guy like that, you don't keep over. You know what I'm saying?
He did a clip with me earlier. I said, would you mind giving us a clip? And he said, sure. This is Dr. Jacobs on some show where they're going to make fun of me.
He must have known us well.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's pay some bills, brother.
Sounds good to me.
You ready to pay him?
I'm always ready.
Hey, guys.
Wallet.
Huh?
I got my wallet out.
See, you got your wallet out. Hey, guys. Thanks to Planet Paranormal and Stitcher Smart Radio for carrying us, Creative Commons, and www.freemusicarchives.com for the tunes. Be a 3-day supporter. Susan G. Komen. Go to our website, ghostanddemon.com. Be a cancer fighter today. Midnight Syndicate, thanks for the tunes. Hey, from the haunted back roads of America. This has been another exclusive G&D show interview. Don't go changing America. You know we won't. Demon Hunter!
Because we love you.
Night, guys.